How to crochet this decorative granny square. I will guide you through the process row by row with the pattern text displayed on screen so you can follow along easily. To make things even clearer, you'll see animated highlights showing exactly what stitch I'm working on. And here's something special. I've added my innovative progress bar at the bottom of the screen. It will show you exactly what row I'm working on, making it super easy to pause your work and come back later without losing your pace. So grab your yarn and your hook and let's get started. We're going to get started with doing a slip knot. And once you have your slip knot on your hook, we're going to do a chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to slip stitch into our first chain and create a loop for us to work in. Here we go. And go ahead and chain 3. So for round number 1, you can see that we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 puff stitches. So that's going to be round number 1. We're going to yarn over, put your hook through the middle of the chain. That's 1. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull a 3rd loop, yarn over, pull a 4th loop. That is your puff stitch. You want to yarn over, pull through all of the loops, and then you're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's do that one more time together. Yarn over, 1, 2, 3, 4, then hold to the bottom of your puff stitch, yarn over, pull through all of the loops, and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's do a 3rd one together. Yarn over, pull through 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yarn over, pull through all of the loops, and chain 3. So do that 5 more times for a total of 8 puff stitches, and I'll meet you back over here. So I did my 8 puffs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I did my chain 3. Now we're going to slip stitch into the top of our first puff. And that was round number 1. To get started on round number 2, I want you to slip stitch over into the chain 3 space. So just put your hook inside the chain space, pull up a loop, and pull through. So that was a slip stitch. You're going to start out with a chain 3. And then we're going to do 1 puff stitch, yarn over, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I did 4 yarn overs or 4 loops, pull through all of the loops, and here do a chain 3, 2, 3. That's 1 puff. We're going to do a 2nd one. So yarn over, pull through 4 loops total. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, pull through all of the loops, and this time we're doing only chain 2. So we just did the first puff stitch, looks like a heart here in the corner, And now we're going to continue on with the double crochets. So into the next chain space, we're going to put 4 double crochets. So for double crochet, yarn over, pull through a loop. You have 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that was your first double crochet, and we're going to put a total of 4 into this chain 3 space. That was 2, 3, and 4. Now you're going to chain 2, and now we're going to redo the puff stitch into the next corner. So yarn over, pull a loop, and do that a total of 4 times. Yarn over, pull through all the loops, and then chain 3. And to complete the corner, we'll do another puff stitch. That's the second puff stitch for the corner. And after the second puff stitch, you do a chain 2. Then we're going to go into the next chain space right here, and we're going to do 4 double crochets. That was my first double crochet, second, third, and fourth. After the double crochets, you do a chain 2. So you have 2 corners already and 2 sides. And you're going to do the same on the other side. So corner with 2 puffs, followed by 4 double crochets, another corner, and another 4. So just follow along with me since this is the first round. So we're going to do our first puff stitch. After the first puff stitch, you do a chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And after the chain 3, you're going to do your second puff stitch into the same chain space. Complete your puff stitch, and after the second puff, you do chain 2. And into the next space, we're going to do 4 double crochets. There was 4 double crochets, chain 2, and we are on our last corner. So that was my first puff stitch, followed by chain 3. I'm going to do my second puff stitch in the corner. And the second puff stitch has 2 chains following. Now we're at our last chain 3 space. We're going to do 4 double crochets. That was my double crochets, followed by chain 2. And to close out round 2, you're going to slip stitch into the top of your first puff stitch right here, slip stitch, and that was round 2. Just like in the second round, to start out round 3, we're going to slip stitch our way into the chain 3 space. So we're starting out in the corner, and we're going to do chain 3. And every row is gonna start out, every row except for the last row is gonna start out with the 2 puff stitch in the corner. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my first puff stitch. There was my first puff stitch, and remember, after the first puff stitch we're gonna do chain 3, and then we're gonna do our second puff stitch. And after the second puff stitch, remember, you do a chain 2. So here's where the pattern is going to be a little bit different starting round 3. So after your 2 puff stitch in the corner, you have this chain 2 between the puff stitch and the 4 double crochets. So you're gonna put 2 double crochets in here. 1, 2, and then you have the chain 4, and here you have the 4 double crochets. You're just gonna work them as is. So 4 double crochets, so I just did my 4 double crochets, and here into the chain 2 space before the corner I'm going to put in another 2 double crochets, and then after the double crochets we always do a chain 2. From now on, with every row you're going to do 2 double crochets here, 2 double crochets here. So in the next round, when you do 2 here and 2 here, then in the middle you're going to have 8, right? Because we just did 2 here plus the 4 in the middle plus 2 here. So in the next row you would have 8 double crochets in the middle, and then 2 on the side, on each side, and then so it increases. And that's how this section becomes wider. So if you remember that, then you basically already know the pattern. It's just going to be a little bit different on the last round. So here we're back here in the corner. We're going to do 2 puff stitches. And then remember, after the first puff stitch, you do a chain 3. Now we're going to put in our second puff stitch. And close the second one, followed by a chain 2. Here we back to our 4 double crochets in the middle. So put your 2 double crochets right between the space here. There was 2 double crochets, then crochet the next 4 double crochets. So I just did my 4 double crochets in the middle, and I'm doing another 2 double crochets into this space, and then a chain 2, and we're back to our corner. So we just did 2 sides and 2 corners together. Go ahead and do that 2 more times, and I'll meet you back over on the other side. So I am at the end of round number 3. This is what your fancy granny square should look like. And just like the other rounds, you're going to slip stitch on top of your first puff stitch over here, and that completes round number 3. So I'll show you one more side with round number 4, and then after that you should know the pattern. So we're going to slip stitch into the corner, and we're going to start out with a chain 3, And just like any other rounds, we're going to do 2 puff stitch with a chain 3 between the 2 puff stitch. There was my first puff stitch, followed by a chain 3. I'm going to do my second puff stitch. There was my second puff stitch, followed by a chain 2. And then between the puff stitch and the single crochets here in this chain 2 gap, you're going to put 2 double crochets. And here in the middle on this side, you should have 8 double crochets right now. So every round, this number is going to increase by 4 because you're doing 2 and 2 on each side. So it continues to add up. So now we have 8 double crochets. So that was my 8 double crochets. You're going to do 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space, and then chain 2, and we're back at the corner. So you continue to do that on all 3 sides, and I'm gonna go ahead and do a couple more rounds, and I will meet you back to show you the last round. The last round is a little bit different, and just puts a nice finish to your fancy granny. So I see you in a bit. So I've done a couple more rows in this beautiful pattern, and you can make it as big as you want to. And I'm just going to show you how you would finish up the round to make it a really nice edging for this pattern. So as usual, we're going to slip stitch into our corner space, and we're going to start out with a chain 3, and instead of doing a puff stitch, we're going to do 2 double crochets. So this chain 3 will count as a double crochet. So this is count 1, and now I'm doing my second, and another double crochet. So 1, 2, 3. Since it's our corner space, we're going to chain 3, and then we're going to do another 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. And here on top of the second puff stitch on this last round, I'm actually going to do a double crochet. And then as before, into the chain 2 space, we're going to do 2 double crochets. And here you have your entire section where you do your double crochets. So double crochet all the way over here. So I've done all my double crochets, and then into the chain 2 space, we're going to do our 2 double crochets. And then on top of the first puff stitch, we're going to do a double crochet. And instead of the puff stitch, we're going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and then since it's the corner, chain 3, and then you do another 3 double crochets, and then you will double crochet on the top of the puff stitch, and we're back to our chain 2 space right here. We're going to do 2 double crochets, and then crochet your way all the way over there. So I meet you over there. I'll show you the corner one more time, but you guys don't have to stick around just to watch me do the double crochet. I'll be right back. So I double crocheted my way around, and we're back at our chain 2 space. You're going to do 2 double crochets, and then you're going to do a double crochet on top of your puff stitch. And here we're back at the corner, so do 3 double crochets, 2, there was 3 followed by a chain 3, and then you do another 3 double crochets into the corner, so 2, that was my 3rd double crochet, and then double crochet on top of your puff stitch, and your chain 2 space, you do 2 double crochets. And here you're back at your double crochet center. So do that 2 more times and I'll meet you at the end. So here I am at the end. I just finished all my double crochets in here. I will do my last 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space. And then the last thing you have to do is put a double crochet on top of the puff stitch. Now, this was the chain 3, so it looks like it's on top of the puff stitch, but this is the first of the 3 double crochets into the corner. So find the top of your puff stitch, do a double crochet, and then slip stitch into your chain 3. And you are done with your fancy granny. Now, how cute is that? It was, I think it's actually very simple considering the effect that it has. I think I'm going to use a really bulky yarn and actually make a pillow cover with this. I think that would look really cute. You guys share with me what you would do with this. If you do appreciate my efforts for this tutorial, I would love for you to give me a like, share my video, or subscribe. I see you guys next time. Bye.